There was a cowboy, he rode with his horse into town and stopped at the saloon for a drink. Over there, the locals have a habit of picking on new strangers, who came to town. So when he came out, his horse was gone. So he goes back into the bar, flips his gun in the air, catches it above his head, not even looking at it, and fires a shot into the ceiling. "Which one of you side winners stole my horse?" He yelled, with very surprising force. So no one answered. "All right, I'm gonna have another beer. And if my horse ends back outside by the time I finish, I'm gonna do what I done in Texas. And I don't like to have to do what I've done in Texas here." So the local people kind of, nervously, restless. So he had another beer, he walked outside, and his horse was back. So he saddled up and started to ride out of town. The bartender wanders out of the bar and asks him, "Say, sir, before you go, what happened in Texas?" The cowboy said, "Well, I walk home." John and Josh went into a posh restaurant, took out their lunch boxes, and started eating their sandwiches. So the waiters came and said, hey, you can't eat your own sandwiches here. So they swapped. Yeah, the warden of the prison felt sorry for one of his inmates because every weekend on Visitors' Day, most of the prisoners have visitors or family members and friends, but poor George sat alone always in his cell. So one day, a visiting day, the warden joined to his office and say, "I noticed you never had any visitors, George." He was a very sympathetic and put his hand on George's shoulder. "Tell me, don't you have any friends? Have any friends or family?" "Oh, sure I do, warden, but they're all in here." Nobody will. I'm glad you like all the jokes. Yeah. Otherwise, well, I worked this hard for nothing, I had to screen all this, go through all the garbage joke as well. Some joke I don't even understand. Maybe the joke to put it there or what? It must be a joke by itself. Just put something there for me to read on and make my own punchline. One of the patients was very worried and asked the doctor, "Doctor, are you sure? Are you sure it's pneumonia?" And doctor say, "Yes, why?" "Yeah, because I heard of cases where a doctor treated a patient for pneumonia, but he ended up dying of something else." The doctor said, "Don't worry, when I treat a patient for pneumonia, he will die of pneumonia." For sure. My nephew. Vacation. Now I understood. It was two business owners, comparing notes on the difficulties of running a small business. One of the women say, "I started a new practice last year. I insist that each of my employees takes at least a week off every 3 months." Why in the world would you like to do that? The owner of the other business asked. She said, "It is the best way that I learned which ones I can do without. No need to know. There was a dignified old lady who went with a group to see an art exhibition, at the newly opened gallery. And one of the abstract paintings caught her eye. So she kept looking, and she asked the one in charge, "Oh, what on earth is that?" So the man smiled and looked at her like, looked down upon her a little bit, condescendingly, and said, "That, my dear lady, is supposed to be a mother and her child." So the lady snapped, "Then where are they?" Hey, what is all that? What a stupid physics man who tests visual acuity. So he tells a patient to stand 20 feet from where the chart is and to begin reading with the one eye cover. Now cover with your right hand, and he reads 20 lines perfectly. And he says, now cover with your left hand, and he reads also 20 lines perfectly. And he says, now cover both eyes. He must have forgotten. It's funny. I was a lawyer and an engineer that were having fun in the Caribbean, and the lawyer said, "I am here because my house burned down and everything I owned was destroyed, so the insurance company paid for everything." So he has money, So the engineer said, "Oh, that's quite a coincidence. I am here because my house and all my belongings were destroyed by a flood, and my insurance company paid for everything too." So the lawyer looked very puzzled and asked, how do you start a flood? I'll start a fire. A man called a lawyer and asked, "How much would you charge me to answer 3 questions?" The lawyer said, $400. And the man said, "That's a lot of money, isn't it?" The lawyer said, "I guess so. What's your 3rd question?" There was a cinema photographer who was working one time with a glamorous, beautiful young movie star. And then this time he was asked to do it again with her. And then after we filmed it, the movie star wasn't very pleased. She said to him, "In the first film we did together, I looked radiantly beautiful. And this time I look like a hack." So the cinema photographer, politely said, "Oh, madam, I guess it has to do with the fact that I was 20 years younger before." 20 years older now. It's me, huh? The general issued a rousing cry, "Onward to victory!" And half an hour later, an urgent message reached him. "Sir, need further instructions. Victory is not on our maps." I don't know where to go. Yeah. There was a kid who came and exclaimed excitedly, "Oh, Dad, I got a bicycle from Mom. Oh, you want to see it?" So he went out and had a look. Sure. So they went to the backyard and then looked at the beautiful brand new bicycle. "Wow, that's a beautiful bicycle. Can you ride it?" He said, "Yeah, the problem is, it's broken." So I said, how come it's broken? It's brand new. He said, "Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it. Every time I ride it, it falls down." The doctor completed an examination of the patient, and then he said, I can't find any cause for your complaint. Frankly, I think it's due to drinking. So the patient stood up and snapped and said, I'll come back when you're sober. Are the dogs okay? Any of you want to go out? Did they drink or anything?
Give them some water, but
No?
yeah.
Maybe we have a little break and let the dogs go out a little bit. Anybody who wants a break also can go there. And the dogs go out, you go in there. Is it on everything? Yes? No? Is on? You still have it?
Yeah.
God. Just to bring a few laughs to somebody's life. If I cannot tell them anything better, this is probably helpful. Good level. A man's wife went into labor in the middle of the night, and the doctor was called out to assist in the delivery. And the father was so nervous. So the doctor handed him a lantern and said, here, you hold this and hold it high so I can see what I'm doing. And soon a wee baby was brought into the world. Wow, wow. Here you are. Don't be in a rush to put the lantern down. I think there's yet another wee one to come. Sure enough, within minutes he had delivered another lass. No, don't be in a great hurry to put down that lantern, lad. It seems that there's yet another one besides. There was crying. So the man was scratching his head in bewilderment and asked the doctor, do you think it's the light that's attracting them? There was a man who came home and found his house on fire. He rushed next door, called the fire department, and shouted, hurry over here, my house is on fire. Okay, replied the fireman. How do we get there? Oh, don't you all still have them big red trucks? There were 3 men sitting on a bench in the park. The middle one was reading a newspaper. The others were pretending to fish. They baited imaginary hooks, cast lines, and reeled in their catch. The passing policeman sitting on a bench in the park. The middle one was reading a newspaper. The others were pretending to fish. They baited imaginary hooks, cast lines, and reeled in their catch. The passing policeman stopped to watch the spectacle and asked the man in the middle if he knew the other 2. Oh yes, they are my friends. In that case, the police officer warned him, you had better get them out of here. Yes, sir, the man replied, and he began rowing furiously. Who's more crazy? Like the joke, I thought, vroom, vroom. Vroom. The joke from that woman from Switzerland. A man and a wife returned to their seats in the dark auditorium. The husband asked a fellow seated on the aisle, did someone step on your feet while going out at intermission? Yes, you did, he replied, expecting an apology. So the wife said, okay, honey, this is our role. Understand? This is our role. At the end of a performance, there were a couple of extras in the play talking together backstage. "What's the matter with our leading lady?" one actress said. "She seems really mad about something." And the other said, "Oh, she's upset because she only received 9 bouquets of flowers over the footlights." "9?" exclaimed the first actress. "That's pretty good, isn't it?" The other one replied, "Yes, but she paid for 10. I'm surprised too. I didn't read it. I did, but I forgot all about it. It's a good joke. A customer was very angry because his vegan steak arrived too rare. So he called the waiter. "Waiter!" He was barking. "Didn't you hear me say well done?" So the waiter replied, "I can't thank you enough, sir. I hardly ever get a compliment like that." I am fed up with saying a blonde. This is really racist, you know. So I would just say, "Oh, a girl, huh? Or whatever, huh? Yeah." A girl walked into a novelty store and she saw a shiny thermos and asked the clerk what it was. The clerk said, "It's a thermos. It keeps cold things cold and hot things hot." So the girl was so impressed, she bought one. And she got home and could not wait to show off her new thermos to her co-workers. She walked into work the next day, and it was not long before one of her peers asked what that shining thing was. So the girl said, "It's a thermos. It keeps cold things cold and hot things hot." Her co-worker asked, "Well, what do you have in it now?" The girl proudly announced, 2 popsicles and a cup of coffee. Ice cream and a cup of coffee. Wonderful. The truck driver looked askance at the soup he had just been served in a backwoods eatery. It contained dark flecks of seasoning, but 2 of the spots were suspicious. He called out to the waitress, "Hey, these particles in my soup, aren't they foreign objects?" The waitress, scrutinized his bowl and said, "No, sir." She reassured him, "Those things live around here." Isn't that funny, huh? There's another one. A bar owner locked up his place at 2 a.m. and went home to sleep. He stayed in bed only a few minutes when the phone rang. "What time do you open in the morning?" He heard, obviously, an inebriated man inquired. The owner was so furious, he slammed down the receiver and went back to sleep. A few minutes later, there was another call, and he heard the same voice ask the same question. Said the bar owner, "Listen, I wouldn't let a person in your condition in." So the person on the other end said, "No, I don't want in. I want out." He was locked in. There's a young woman sitting in her stalled car waiting for help. Finally, 2 men walked up to her. "I'm out of gas," she purred. "Could you push me to a service station?" They readily put their muscles to the car and rolled it several blocks. After a while, one looked up, exhausted, to see that they had just passed a filling station. How come you didn't turn in? He yelled. I never go there. The woman shouted back. They don't have food service. Next. Next one, please. A small plane with a student and an instructor on board hit the runway and bounced repeatedly until it came to a stop. The instructor turned to the student and said, "That was a very bad landing you just made." Me? The student said, "I thought you were landing." If you see a young man open a car door for his girlfriend, then you can be sure that either the car is new or the girlfriend is. The things of life. I am beginning to understand exactly how the state lottery helps education. A guy told his neighbor, "Every time I buy a losing ticket, I get a little smarter." A man came upon a youth running hard while driving down a winding country road with 3 huge dogs snarling at his heels. The man screeched his car to a halt and threw open the door. Get in, he shouted. Thanks, gasped the youth. You are terrific. Most people won't offer a ride when they see I have 3 dogs. The wife said to the husband, "There's trouble with the car. It has water in the carburetor." Husband said, "Water in the carburetor? That's ridiculous." The wife said, "I tell you, the car has water in the carburetor." Husband, "You don't even know what a carburetor is." "Where's the car?" "In the swimming pool." I like it myself. Now for you. A villager on his first trip to the city was waiting at the bus stop one morning. After some hesitation, he asked a woman, "Which bus should I take for Manim?" "Ah, bus number 177. The woman replied and caught the next bus. The same evening, the woman got off a bus at the same stop and found the villager still waiting. "Didn't you get the bus to Manhim?" she asked. "Not yet," he said wearily. "So far, 168 buses have come and gone. 8 more before mine arrived." Ay, ay, ay. There were 2 explorers camped in the heart of the African jungle who were discussing their expedition. The first one said, "I came here because the urge to travel is in my blood. City life bored me, and the smell of exhaust fumes on the highways made me sick. I wanted to see the sunrise over new horizons and hear the..." "I want to hear the flutter birds that never had been seen by man. I wanted to leave my footprints on the sand unmarked before I came. In short, I wanted to see nature in the raw. What about you? The second man said, I came because my son was taking saxophone lessons. Yeah. I think we're very honest. An Irish lad named Sean was doing so well with his furniture business that he decided to take a trip to France. When he returned to Ireland, his friend Brendan asked him, "Why did you go to France? And you're not speaking a word of the language. How could you make yourself understood?" "Let me tell you, I met this lass in the park. I drew a picture of plates and food. So we went out to eat. After drawing a picture of people dancing, we went to a nightclub. At midnight, could you imagine, she took my pen and drew a picture of a bed." Faith in Bigorra. Faith and Bigorra, exclaimed Brandon. "How did she know you were in the furniture business?" I also like it. I forgot it for a long time. You know, the reason I forgot is that I screened all this long ago, you see, with all these marks here, and making notes, see which ones, you see? So I knew it all, but I forgot already. See what I mean? See, I mark it. See that? Yeah? Yeah. So it's not just today. I did mark some more today. This is at the back, you know? And even the one mark, I tried to read again whether I was correct or I was wrong. Maybe you drink too much orange juice, you never know. A kid asked his mom, "Mommy, where do babies come from?" Mom says, "The stock, dear, the stock." The kid says, "Mommy, who keeps bad people from robbing our house?" Mommy says, "The police." "The police?" The kid says, "Mommy, if our house was on fire, who would save us?" Mommy says, "The fire department." The kid, "Mommy, where does our food come from?" Mommy says, "Farmers, my dear, farmers." And the kid says, "Mommy," no. Mom says, "Oh, what next? Then what do we need daddy for?" Useless. Yeah, fine. Good boy. Okay, you okay now? You are tired? I love you. Oh, I love you. Come here, read me a book of jokes. Do some. Hey. Okay, if you want some love. One day, a boy was digging in his backyard, and his neighbor asked him, "Hey, Timmy, what are you doing that for?" And Timmy said, "My goldfish died and I'm burying him." The neighbor noted, "Well, that's a mighty big hole for a goldfish, don't you think?" Timmy clapped back, "No, my goldfish is inside your cat." Yeah. A passenger ship was passing a small island, and everyone could see a bearded man shouting and desperately waving his hand. So a passenger asked the captain, "Who is it?" The captain said, "I have no idea. Every year when we pass, it gets madder. It gets more crazy." No idea why. Every year when we pass, it gets more crazy. It gets crazier. Maybe he doesn't like us. On the railway, children of 10 years and under travel at half price. So as the conductor began checking tickets, a woman sitting next to me told her daughter, "Now remember, you are only 10, okay?" The girl nodded her head. The conductor approached and asked the girl, "How old are you?" "10, sir." "And when will you be 11? "Oh, when I get off this train." I think I told you this joke, but I'm not sure, so in case. There was a minivan loaded with all kinds of things and kids pouring into the only remaining campsite. 4 children leaped from the vehicle and began feverishly unloading gear and setting up the tent. The boys rushed to gather firewood. The girls and their mother set up the camp stove and cooking utensils. A nearby camper marveled at the youngster's father. "That, sir, is some display of teamwork." The father said, Yeah, I have a system. I tell them no one goes to the toilet until the camp is set up." Well, which planet are you from? Baby? Yeah, what planet are you? Yeah, continue, guys. Just eat or whatever you like, huh? Did I stop you?
No.
A travel agent said to the customer, "I can get you 3 days and 2 nights in Rome for $100 only." The customer said, "How come so cheap?" The travel agent said, "The days are July 11, 12, and 13. The nights are July 21 and 22. You understand? 3 days and 2 different nights. Of course I do. Honeymooners. A pair of honeymooners checked into the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. That night, as the husband was about to turn off the light, his bride asked him, "Do you think this room is bugged?" Washington, D.C. "Oh, that was long ago, sweetheart," he reassured her. She asked again still, "But what if there is a microphone somewhere? I'll be so embarrassed." So the groom searched under tables and behind pictures and everywhere. Then he turned back the rug. Sure enough, there was a funny-looking gizmo in the floor. So he took out the screws, got rid of the hardware, and climbed into bed. The next morning, the newlyweds were awakened by a hotel clerk who wanted to know if they had slept well. "We did," replied the groom. "Why did you ask?" "Well, it's rather unusual," the clerk answered. "Last night, the couple in the room below yours had a chandelier fall on them." I also don't know much, so I keep reading like kids. No tone, no exclamation. Yeah. Two highway workers are at a construction site when a car with diplomatic plates pulls up. "Parlez-vous français?" the driver asked. The two just stared. "Hablan ustedes español?" The driver tried. There's some more. "Sprechen Sie Deutsch?" And the two construction workers continue staring. "Parla Italiano?" Nothing. Finally, the man drives off in disgust. One worker turns to the other and says, maybe we should learn a foreign language. What for? The other replies, that guy knew 4 of them. And what good did it do him? He's still lost. The story has it that a Soviet leader, Gorbachev, was late for a meeting and told his chauffeur to step on it, floor it. The chauffeur refused on the grounds that it would be breaking the speeding laws. So Gorbachev ordered him into the back seat and got behind the wheel himself. After a few miles, the car was stopped by a police patrol. The senior officer sent his subordinate to arrest the offender. A moment later, the officer returned, saying that the person was much, much too important to prosecute. Who is it? Demanded the police chief. I'm not sure, sir, replied the officer, but General Gorbachev is his chauffeur. Just like when I'm driving you through the meditation, group meditation. A young man answered a wanted ad for an accountant as he was fresh out of business school. Now he was interviewed by a very nervous man who ran a small business that he had started himself. I need someone with an accounting degree, the man said. But mainly, I'm looking for someone to do my worrying for me. The accountant asked, excuse me? The owner of the small business said, well, I worry a lot of things, but I don't want to have to worry about money. Your job will be to take all the money worries off my back. I see, the accountant said. And how much does the job pay? Okay, I will start you at $80,000. $80,000? The accountant exclaimed. How can such a small business afford a sum like that? That is your first worry. Try to earn it, man. A man went to his doctor to find out the results of a series of tests he has been given the previous week. Unfortunately, it was confirmed. The worst fear. Oh, the doctor said, I'm afraid I have some rather bad news for you. You are going to die in 4 weeks. Oh, the man was so distraught. Doctor, that's terrible. But I want a second opinion. Okay, you are also very ugly. Tell me when you're bored, okay? No. When you had it. In a waiting room, a bishop was sitting in a doctor's waiting room when a red-faced and sobbing nun rushed out of the doctor's office. The bishop charged into the office and demanded to know what the doctor had done. I told her she was pregnant, the doctor replied. It couldn't be true, said the outraged bishop. Why ever would you tell her something like that? Well, it sure cure her hiccups. During the wedding rehearsal, the groom approached the pastor with an unusual offer. Look, Father, I will give you $100 if you change the wedding vows. When you get to me and the part where I am to promise to love, honor, and obey her, and forsake all others, to be faithful to her forever alone, I would appreciate it if you just leave that part out. And he passed the minister 100 bills and walked away satisfied, feeling that it would be done. And then on the day of the wedding, and the bride and groom have moved to that part of the ceremony where the vows are exchanged. When it came to the time for the groom's vows, the pastor looked the young man in the eyes and said, "Will you promise to prostrate yourself before her, obey her every command and wish, serve her breakfast in bed every morning of your life, and swear eternally before God and your lovely wife that you will not ever even look at another woman as long as you both shall live?" The groom gulped and looked around and said in a tiny voice, "Yes." The groom leaned toward the pastor and hissed afterward, "I thought we had a deal. I give you $100. The pastor put the $100 bill back into his hand and whispered back, "But she made me a much better offer." I guess we already had this deal somewhere, no? Very nice. A Baptist preacher, a Presbyterian minister, and a Lutheran pastor got into a discussion as to which denomination Jesus Christ would belong to. Here we come again. Each claims that he would belong to his own. Of course, huh? Yeah. So the Baptist preacher declared, he would obviously be Baptist. We are so on fire with the zeal for God, just like he was when he was on earth. He would join us in a heartbeat. So the Presbyterian minister stated, no, not so. He would be a Presbyterian. We do everything properly and in order and give the glory to God, just like he did. He would join us immediately. So the Lutheran pastor sat silent for a minute. Then he stated, you each have some good points, I must say, but he would never change. He's faithful to us. That's what it is. He'd never change. Oh, that's cute, huh? At the school, a boy said to the girl, isn't the principal a dummy? The girl said, say, do you know who I am? The boy said, no. I am the principal's daughter. And do you know who I am? The girl said, no. Oh, thank goodness. The teacher said to John, I wish I didn't see you looking at Don's paper during the test. And John said, yeah, I wish you didn't either. There was a desperado who tried to hijack a bus full of Japanese tourists. You know what happened? Huh? The police caught him for sure. They have 5,000 photographs. The Japanese, they all have cameras. Could not escape. A man was applying for a job as a prison guard. The warden said, now, these are real tough guys in here. Do you think you can handle it? No problem. The applicant replied, if they don't behave, out they go. Good. A defendant's attorney was cross-examining a coroner. The attorney asked, before you signed the death certificate, had you taken the man's pulse? The coroner said, no. The attorney then asked, did you listen for a heartbeat? Nope. So when you signed the death certificate, you had not taken any steps to make sure the man was dead, had you? The coroner, weary of the browbeating, said, well, let me put it this way. The man's brain was sitting in a jar on my desk. But you never know. He could be out there practicing law. I think I told you this joke already, but I'm not sure. Okay. On a visit to the United States, Gorbachev met a Russian who had immigrated to this country. So he started talking to him. What do you do for a living here? The Soviet leader asked him. The man said, well, my brother, my sister, and I work in a big factory. So Gorbachev asked, how do these capitalist bosses treat you? Just fine, answered the man. In fact, if you are walking home from work, the boss will pick you up in his car, big car, and drive you to your door. Another time, he treats you to a dinner in an expensive restaurant. Sometimes he takes you home for the weekend and buys you presents. Gorbachev was stunned. How often does this happen? The man said, well, actually not to me, never, sir, but to my sister, many times. There's a highway sign. It says, speed limit 65 for most cars and some trucks under 8,000 pounds. Only if they are empty. Unless you weigh over 300 pounds, then divide by 6. For additional information, call the IRS, which helped write this one. An inmate was aware that all prison mail passes through censors. So when he got a letter from his wife asking about the family garden, honey, when do I plant potatoes? He wrote back, do not, under any circumstances, dig up our old garden spot. That's where I bury all my guns. Within days, his wife wrote back, 6 investigators came to the house. They dug up every inch of the backyard. So by return mail, she got his answer. Now is the time to plant your potatoes. At an auction, the selling was suddenly stopped when the auctioneer announced that someone in the room has just lost his wallet containing $1,000, and he's offering a reward of $250 for its immediate return. After a moment of silence, there was a call from the back of the room, $255. An impecunious, starving artist was cornered by her landlord, who demanded that she pay him several months' back rent. The artist pleaded, just think, someday tourists will be pointing at that building and saying, the great abstract painter Celia used to live here. And the landlord countered, and if you don't pay it up, they can come by tomorrow and say that. A loan officer said to a customer, based on your credit history, it seems the only kind of loan you qualify for is an auto loan. Customer, you mean money to buy a car? A loan officer said, I mean money you lend yourself. What's that?
Auto, so
Auto, like automatic, to yourself.
Auto loan?
autobiography.
Auto loan. Okay, auto. Oh, that's a playing. I didn't know that. A stingy man was convinced by a friend to buy a couple of tickets in the state lottery. But after he won the big prize, he didn't seem happy. So his friend asked him, what's wrong? You just became a millionaire. The man groaned, I know, but I can't imagine why I bought that second ticket for. It was a waste of money. The second ticket. What for? He only wins on the first one, the second one. a miserly millionaire called a family conference and told them, "I'm placing a box of money in the attic," he said. "When I die, I intend to grab it on my way up to heaven. See to it that no one touches it until it's my time to go." The family respected his wishes. After his death, the millionaire's wife looked into the attic. The box was still there. "The fool," she said. "I told him he should have put it in the basement." Hell. A big firm put up an advertisement for a top job, and an accountant answered it. At the end of the interview, the chairman said to him, "One last question. What is 3 times 7? The accountant thought for a moment and replied, 22. Outside, he checked himself on his calculator and concluded that he had lost the job. But 2 weeks later, he was offered the post. He asked the chairman why he had been appointed when he had given the wrong answer. "But you were the closest." That was a good one. Yeah. Just like, some people would go up to the 5th plane, but just barely, almost there. "Master, pull me up just a little push." Give me a little push. I told you that joke, right? We recorded it, no? About a man, a drunkard? Midnight, no?
Yes.
That's a joke. It's a Mexican joke. It was in here, but I thought I told you already, so I didn't tell you again. No, there was a couple, sleeping, 3 o'clock. And suddenly there was a bang, bang, bang at the door. And the wife told her husband to come down and see who it is. And he saw his neighbor. And he asked, "Well, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What is it?" He said, "Well, can you give me a little push?" So the husband saw that the man was drunk. So I said, "Oh, get lost." And then banged the door, went back to sleep. And the wife asked her, "What is it?" She said, "Well, it's just the drunken neighbor, he wants a little push." So I told him to get lost. So the wife said, "Oh, honey, remember one time our car broke down and our neighbors, also gave us a little push? What would have happened to us if he also told us to get lost like you? So please go down and help him, So the man felt so bad and then dressed up and went out and looked for the neighbors, but he's nowhere to be seen. And he shouted, "Where are you? Are you still here?" "Yes, I'm over here." "Where are you?" "On your swing." There's a father who said to a friend, "When I was younger, I was disciplined by being sent to my room without supper. But my son has his own color TV, phone, computer, and CD player." So his friend said, "So what do you do?" "Well, I send him to my room." A young boy and his girl were embracing passionately in the front seat of a car. She asked him, "You want to go to the back seat?" No, he replied. A few minutes later, she asked again, "Now, do you want to get in the back seat?" No, he said again. "I want to stay here in the front seat with you." Oh my God. Not for dummy, eh? Even you understand better. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you understand better. A young redneck. I don't know what that is. Why not blue? Why not blue neck? Was going through the 4th grade for the 3rd time. Oh, probably, a dummy or something. Was busy bragging to his friends at school that he knew all the state's capitals by heart. Go ahead, he said proudly. Ask me anyone, I know them all. Okay, one friend said, what is the capital of Wisconsin? He said, that's easy. The lad replied, W. Wisconsin. Difficult to. Wisconsin, right? Yeah. W, yes. What is the capital? DC. Washington, also W. Huh? A priest was preparing a man for his long day's journey into night. Oh. Whispering firmly, the priest said, denounce the devil. Let him know how little you think of his evil. The dying man said nothing. The priest repeated his order again. Still the dying man said nothing. The priest asked, why do you refuse to denounce the devil and his evil? The dying man said, until I know where I'm heading, I don't think I should offend anybody. Oh yes, until I know where I'm heading. Gate of heaven. A man arrives at the gate of heaven. St. Peter asks him, religion? The man says, Methodist. St. Peter looks down his list and says, go to room 24, but be very quiet as you pass room 8. Another man arrives at the gate of heaven. Religion? Baptist. Go to room 18, but be very quiet as you pass room 8. A third man arrives at the gate again. St. Peter asks, religion? Jewish. Go to room 11, but be very quiet as you pass room 8. The man says, I could understand there being different rooms for different religions, but why must I be quiet when I pass room 8? St. Peter tells him, well, the Catholics are in room 8, and they think they are the only ones here. Surprised. There's a rabbi, Freiberg, sat alone in the sanctuary of his synagogue, clutching a prayer book in his hand, and sobbing. He cries out, why, Lord, why? Why did this have to happen? How could my son, my only son, destroy me like this? My only son, he converted to Christianity. And a great voice boomed down from the heavens. Yours too? That was a good one. Just like the joke some of you told me the other day. An old man arrived in heaven, and St. Peter probably had a vacation that day, so Jesus sat there in his place, and then he asked the old man, what were you doing on earth? He said, oh, I was a carpenter, and I have a son who's very famous. And Jesus said, is that you, Father? And the old man said, is that you, Pinocchio? A reader reports that while sitting in the upper deck business class front seat of the Cathay Pacific 747 in Taipei, the following announcement was heard over the cabin PA system. Ladies and gentlemen, We are overbooked and are offering anyone $1,000 plus a seat on the next flight in exchange for their seat on this flight. After a short pause, the offer was loudly accepted by someone in the cockpit. There was a bus, and there was an old lady sitting together with her dog. Yeah. And then a man said to the woman, "Can you keep your dog beside you? Because I feel a flea in my shoe already." So the woman said, "Bello, come here quick. He has fleas." Man, you know that, huh? A father took his children to the zoo, and they were all looking forward to seeing the monkeys. Unfortunately, it was mating time, and the attendant explained that the monkeys had gone inside their little sanctuary for some togetherness. So the father asked, would they come out for some peanuts? And the attendant asked him, would you? A lady lion tamer had the big cats under such control they took a lump of sugar from her lips on command. A skeptical audience yelled, anyone can do that? So the ringmaster came over and asked, would you like to try it, sir? Sure, the man replied, but first get those crazy lions out of there. No need command. Oh, that's cute. There was somebody who called the police when the dispatcher came. He said, we have a skunk in the basement. How can we get him out? So the police dispatcher said, take some breadcrumbs and put down a trail from the basement out into the backyard. Then leave the cellar door open. Sometime later, the resident called back and the police asked, did you get rid of him? He said, no, now I have 2 skunks in here. Yeah. Okay, maybe last one, eh? Then we'll go to bed, huh? What time is it, by the way?
10:55.
Oh my God, that's 11, right?
Yes.
There's some newspaper ad here. Monday, for sale. R.D. Jones has one sewing machine for sale. Phone number so-and-so after 7 p.m. and ask for Mrs. Kelly, who lives with him cheap. What's that? Tuesday's notice. We regret having error in R.D. Jones' ad yesterday. It should have read, one sewing machine for sale, cheap. Phone number so-and-so and ask for Mrs. Kelly, who lives with him after 7 p.m. Wednesday's notice. R.D. Jones has informed us that he has received several annoying telephone calls because of errors that were made in the classified ad yesterday. The ad stands corrected as follows. For sale. R.D. Jones has one sewing machine for sale. Cheap. Phone number so-and-so after 7 p.m. and ask for Mrs. Kelly, who loves with him. Who loves with him. First who lives and who cheats. Did you get all the advertisements? The more correct. Very good. And Thursday, oh, even worse, something coming. Thursday, notice. I, R.D. Jones, have no sewing machine. I smashed it. Don't call number so and so. It's disconnected. I have not been carrying on with Mrs. Kelly. Until yesterday, she was my housekeeper. Not anymore. Until yesterday, she was my housekeeper, but she quit. Couldn't bear no more. So it was. Let's do it again so you have a better picture. Monday to Thursday. It goes like this on Monday. For sale, R.D. Jones has one sewing machine for sale. Phone number so and so after 7 p.m. And ask for Mrs. Kelly, who lives with him cheap. On Tuesday, notice. We're sorry for having error in R.D. Jones' ad yesterday. He should have read one sewing machine for sale cheap. Phone number so and so, and ask for Mrs. Kelly, who lives with him after 7 p.m. And then Wednesday, notice, R.D. Jones has informed us that he has received several annoying telephone calls because of error we made in the classified ad yesterday. The ad stands corrected as follows. For sale, dash, R.D. Jones has one sewing machine for sale. Period. Cheap, period. Phone number so and so after 7 p.m. And ask for Mrs. Kelly, who loves you with him. Thursday, notice. I, R.D. Jones, have no sewing machine for sale, period. I smashed it, period. Don't call number, blah, blah, blah. Comma, it's disconnected, period. I have not been carrying on with Mrs. Kelly, period. Until yesterday, she was my housekeeper, but she quit. Oh my God. Terrible. Some ads. My God, this is a kind of addiction here. You want some more or not? Huh? Or you want to go to bed now? Bed? Who wants bed? Raise your hand. Typical kids, huh? Anything. Any lousy thing except bed. The new minister stood at the church door greeting the members as they left the Sunday morning service. Most of the people were very generous in telling the new minister how they liked his message, except for one man who said, "That was a very dull and boring sermon." Pastor. In a few minutes, the same man appeared again in line and said, "I don't think you did any preparation for your message." Once again, the man appeared, this time muttering, "You really blew it. You didn't have anything to say." Finally, the minister couldn't stand it no more. He went over to one of the deacons and inquired about the man. Said the deacon, "Oh, don't let that guy bother you. He is a little slow." "Oh, he does? is go around repeating whatever he hears everybody else saying. I think we did say that joke before, but it's so funny. It's nice to have, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, a traveler. A traveler named John pulled into a little town for the night to find every hotel room was taken. He pleaded, "You have got to have a room somewhere, or just a bed, I don't care where." So the manager admitted, "Well, I do have a double room with one occupant." And he might be glad to split the cost. But to tell you the truth, he snores so loudly that people in adjoining rooms have complained. "I'm not sure it would be worth it to you." "No problem," the tired traveler assured him. "I take it." The next morning, John came down to breakfast bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. The manager was impressed. "No problem with the other guy snoring then?" he asked. "Nope. I shut him up in no time." "How did you manage to do that?" asked the manager. "He was really easy. You know, he was already in bed, snoring away when I came into the room. Then I went over, gave him a kiss on the cheek and said, 'Good night, beautiful.' And then with that, he never slept again." He sat up all night watching me. I think I gave you this joke, but I'm not sure, okay? A young boy, because sometimes I give it in private. So a young boy had just got his driver's permit and inquired of his father, an evangelist, if they could discuss the use of the car. His father took him to the study and said to the boy, "I will make a deal with you, son. You bring your grades up from C to a B average. Study your Bible a little and get your hair cut, and we will talk about the car later." Well, the boy thought about that for a moment and decided that he would best settle for the offer, and they agreed. After about 6 weeks, the boy came back again and asked his father about the car. Again, they went to the study where his father said, "Son, I've been real proud of you. You have brought your grades up, and I have observed that you've been studying your Bible and participating a lot more in the Bible study class on Sunday morning. But I'm real disappointed seeing as you haven't got your hair cut." So the young man paused for a moment and then said, "You know, Pa, I've been thinking about that, and I have noticed in my studies of the Bible that Samson had long hair, Moses had long hair, John the Baptist had long hair, and there's even strong argument that Jesus himself had long hair." You can see the picture. To which the father replied, "You're right, son, you're right. Did you also notice that they all walked everywhere?" Did I tell you this joke? Yeah. No? Probably privately. Or maybe you were new. A new pastor. There were two evil brothers. They were rich and used their money to keep their ways from the public eye. They even attended the same church and looked to be perfect Christians. Then their pastor retired, and a new one was hired. Not only could he see right through the brothers' deception, but he also spoke well and true, and the church started to swell in numbers. A fundraising campaign was started to build a new assembly. All of a sudden, one of the brothers died. The remaining brothers sought out the new pastor the day before the funeral and handed him a check for the amount needed to finish paying for the new building. He said, "I have only one condition. At his funeral, you must say my brother was a saint." The pastor gave his word and deposited the check. The next day, At the funeral, the pastor did not hold back. He was an evil man, he said. He cheated on his wife and abused his family. He's stingy. After going on and on in this vein for a small time, he concluded with, but compared to his brother, he was a saint. He did keep his word. He did keep his word. But I thought I told you that already. Never mind, in case we missed it. I'm sure I told this joke already. I remember I did, but this is so funny. Maybe we read it again, huh? You understood my English, right? Okay? Not as good as yours, but I haven't read all this for a long time. One dark night, outside a small town, a fire started inside a local chemical plant. Before long, it exploded into flames, and an alarm went out to the fire department for miles around. After fighting the fire for over an hour, the chemical company president approached the fire chief and said, all of our secret formulas are in the vault in the center of the plant. They must be saved. I will give $50,000 to the engine company that brings them out safely. As soon as the chief heard this, he ordered the firemen to strengthen their attack on the blaze. After 2 more hours of attacking the fire, the president of the company offered $100,000 to the engine company that could bring out the company's secret files. From the distance, a long siren was heard, and another fire truck came into sight. It was a local volunteer fire company composed entirely of men over 65. To everyone's amazement, the little fire engine raced through the chemical plant's gates and drove straight into the middle of the inferno. In the distance, the other firemen watched as the old-timers hopped off of their rig and began to fight the fire with an effort that they had never seen before. After an hour of intense fighting, the volunteer company had extinguished the fire and saved the secret formulas. Joyous, the chemical company president announced that he would double the reward to $200,000 and walked over to personally thank each of the volunteers. After thanking each of the old men individually, the president asked the group what they intended to do with the reward money. The fire truck driver looked him right in the eye and said, the first thing we are going to do is fix the brakes on that truck. Local heroes, local heroes, local heroes. A man, okay, I guess this is the last one. It keeps going on all the time. Maybe almost half already. A man was talked into going horseback riding, something he didn't want to do because he once dreamed that he would die in the saddle. The owner of the stables told him that the horse he would be riding would, on his own, take him along the trails, leading in and out of the forest, through the fields, and eventually back to the stables by himself. The owner told the nervous rider that there were only two things he had to remember. The first was that if he wanted the horse to go forward, he had to say, thank God. And if he wanted the horse to stop, he had to say, hallelujah. I guess we have this joke already, but I forgot. About an hour into his ride, the horse suddenly bolted down a field. At the end of the field was a deep chasm in which the bottom was 200 feet from the top of the cliff. So the rider yelled, wow! But naturally, that didn't work. So the horse was about to leap into the chasm. The rider yelled, hallelujah! And the horse stopped right at the edge of the cliff. And the rider peered into the chasm. His heart began to beat rapidly, and he looked up at heaven and cried out in great joy, thank God! Oh my Okay, let's go, baby, huh? Maybe next time, eh? Yeah. Let's go away and sleep, huh? Meditate on God or what? Huh? Meditate on God or what? Hmm? What a meditate on God or what?